What do we have from our SMC families, inshaAllah?
As-salamu alaykum, Sayyidi.
Walaikum salam.
Sayyidi, which sense is the hardest to control on our spiritual journey, and what makes it difficult during Ramadan and beyond the month of Ramadan?
I would imagine all the senses are most difficult, but you can't bring the horse into guidance without a look on the ears. Because if they don't hear your teachings, don't hear your guidance, don't hear the message, how can anything come close? So we're the people of samina wa ata'na, so we hear and we follow to the best of our ability. And that becomes a great difficulty for people to hear guidance and follow it. They hear what they want to hear, and that becomes an issue. They hear what they want to hear, what their nafs wants to hear. So I would imagine that taking a path in which to hear, when I can hear the outside guidance and I begin to make my tafakkur and contemplation the way the shaykh is describing it, then I'm listening for the inner hearing. So what is the guidance of the shaykhs, what is the guidance that Allah is pushing into my reality from my consciousness. But I don't hear my consciousness because of the noise of the outside. And there's too much noise around you, too much chatter, too much talk, too much confusion, how can you hear your consciousness? And that's the danger of being too active with people. The activeness with people is keeping people from hearing themselves and their consciousness. And all they hear are the waswases of other people. But those who live a life more isolated, more inside of their heart and understanding of their reality, they look for that understanding, they look to hear about their consciousness and what their consciousness is inspired to teach them. So without the ears submitting, how can anything submit? So somebody says, I can see this, I can see that, I can see this. Well, the first thing is then, do you hear? And they say, no, I don't try to hear anything, I just see. Well, then that's deception. Whatever you're seeing then has been broadcasting by Shaitan. If your ears are not submitting, how would Allah open your eyes? Because eyes are a great deception. A shaitan, a jinn and any marada can come to a person and put glasses and binoculars on them, and they see all sorts of crazy things. So that doesn't mean anything, but the discipline of hearing is important. Then somebody come, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that. I said, no, there's a discipline in hearing. That are hearing the teachings, are you hearing the guidance, are you adhering to the practices where you visualize the shaykhs in front of you and that you stay quiet, you listen to your salawats and that you breathe. And what you should be hearing is then these teachings and these realities opening a consciousness of what to do right and what to abstain from of wrong. And that hearing never interferes with, this person did that, this person did this. Never go to someone and say, you did this, you did that, you offended me. That's from shaitan and that's from shaitanic character. The person who speaks to people is wrong because you only speak to yourself. If you're upset with somebody, there's something in you that's upsetting, and as a result you want to lash out at other people. Right? Nobody can talk to anyone about what they've done wrong if they haven't resolved all their own issues. So this way of tariqah is a very disciplined way. They're striving to hear. They take the teachings, this was a teaching, and they took a path of silence. Why silence? Because as soon as you want to hear, shaitan whisper to you every problem of someone else. So on a path of hearing, if you didn't silence your mouth, you're like the people at the masjid. As soon as you walk in they come up to you, Akhi, your feet wrong, your tasbih wrong, your ring is wrong, your clothes are too long. It's wrong. They should only worry about themselves, and people should only worry about themselves because it's only their grave Allah going to ask them about. So that becomes the disciplines of tariqah which they heard the teaching, they kept their mouth quiet, they kept the path of silence, and as a result Allah began to open the realities of their hearing. And they hear from their consciousness and the only thing they're busy with is fixing their errors, not the errors of other people. Only then when the lock of their hearing opens can the lock of the eyes begin to be disciplined, because that's a trustworthy servant. They hear and their hearing is only for themselves and their improvement. As a result Allah will open for the servant now, if they sit in discipline, to open their seeing, in which they see the presence of that energy, see the presence of the shaykhs, and they're asking that they only want to be in an ocean of energy. And they discipline their very sight, and they don't go sightseeing. They don't look for here, look for that, look for gifts, look for all sorts of delusional thoughts. They're disciplined in their seeing, in which they see only an ocean of power. They want to look at the feet of Prophet, that's it, nothing else. You are nobody to look at the face of Sayyidina Muhammad, just look to the feet of Prophet, and that's enough if you can keep that discipline. So everything has a discipline and everything has a reality. That's why they give their teachings and they can dispel any type of false illusions that people have that may follow non-perfected teachings and believe they're this and believe they're that. But through the disciplines of how they've been trained and the seclusions that they have been put through, they understand these realities, inshaAllah.
As-salamu alaykum ya Sayyidi.
Wa alaykum salam wa rahmatullah.
How can we differentiate between emotional feelings and the true zawq? Is there a way to experience the true path of the zawq?
Emotional feelings, the dhawq is a vibration, to taste the reality and to feel its vibration. You don't have to differentiate. Emotional is like drama people, they want to cry over everything, they want to yell over everything, that's just crazy. So we'll put that as section crazy, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. This has to do with you meditating, you feeling the presence of Rosa Sharif and you cry, that's not emotional. That means that your energy sensitivity is that you're picking up the vibrations. Angelic and heavenly vibrations, they change your frequency, it's not under your control. But as soon as somebody start to talk to you and you want to cry, there's something wrong with you, you're just now overreacting to everything. And this is for psychologists, this is not for tariqah. When you overreact you're trying to control a situation. So they learn this from childhood. If it's aggressive child they can become mean and you submit to them. Oh look, the kid's getting angry, you give him that sausage, give them that food. And you condition them like a dog, that every time they get the biscuit their anger is going down. So what does it tell them? Be angry, give me another biscuit. And then you keep conditioning. So it's no different than conditioning an animal. When you keep giving something a reward for a certain behavior that was not correct, that person grows up to think that anger is a way to get what they want. Same with drama and emotion. Cry, give them the biscuit, cry, give them the muffin. Well that person when they grow up, as soon as they talk and they don't get what they want, they cry. Okay, give that to them. So this is not tariqah, that's not the emotions we're talking about. These are sort of psychological conditions that people have been conditioned with. So that's why we say this is a way of taste. When you understand and when you do what's right and you do these processes, it's not psychology. When you ask me from your brain that, how do I know this or that, it's not psychology. And this is not philosophy. People who meditate, contemplate and begin to experience, they feel the vibration within themselves, and that experience is not under their control and it's all alone and there's nobody around. So the other conditions are usually in front of people. Angered, then that's controlling, crying and that's controlling. So these are all the sort of outward conditions of people. We're talking about people whom are meditating in solitude, no one is around. So you're not crying to make a drama to anyone, but your very soul is feeling vibrations and energies, inshaAllah. Those people in tariqah who come into groups and yell and scream, that also psychological problems because it's conditioning. They're not experiencing anything but they want the room to think they are experiencing something. So again that's a part of psychology. So there are groups in different areas, not under our discipline, under other areas where they yell and scream and make emotional outbreaks like turrets, where they uncontrolled words to show the room, I have some sort of a spiritual reality. But this is not acceptable in Naqshbandiyat al-Aliyah. Only experience you should have is in the privacy of your own meditation space, and that's between you and your Lord, and not for the people, and not to be known amongst people because of a spiritual experience, inshaAllah.
As-salamu alaykum Sayyidi.
Wa alaykum salam wa rahmatullah.
When the sense of touch becomes subtle and the energy fields awakens, what should a student do when overwhelmed by external energies or the energies of others?
Nothing, you get the energy book and learn how to process energy, how to clean the energy, how to protect your energy so that you can purify the energy, understand when you're getting heated, understand when it's getting cold, understand when negative energies are trying to approach. So it's a whole life of energy, that's why there's an energy book so that you read. Anyone who feels that they're entering into an energy reality, then they have to read the curriculum. What is energy? What is it when you start to feel you're burning? Why do you feel hot in one and cold in the other? So this is a life of energy. When you feel that you're progressing into that understanding, then you get the energy book, the energy articles online, and that becomes your life. So you have to learn about that life and realize the realities of that lifestyle so that you can be vigilant on how to build the energy, protect your energy and protect against negative attack. Because once you're an energy being means you're going to feel the good and the bad. Means you're going to feel when a negative energy enters into your place or residence or area, and that negative energy decides it wants to attack you. So physical people, they don't understand what that means because they're like a bus with 50 evil people riding on them and they don't even know it or feel it. But an energy person doesn't have one person on that bus, and if one person tries to enter their bus there's going to be a big disruption in their energy, and that's the difference. So your physical body is capable of carrying many things: scorpions, lizards, snakes, roaches and evil creatures. As a result those creatures can enter into the being and occupy and stay in the being. But those whom have spiritual teachings and spiritual trainings, their environment is clean and been pushed out. Anything trying to hijack a ride or jump onto their physical vehicle, there's going to be an immense conflict of that energy. And that's why they begin to feel, oh I felt I was attacked, I felt it was like this, I felt like that. Because an energy is trying to come or maybe test and see, oh how can we approach or how close can we approach. So these are all the energy teachings, and that's why they have to get the energy book to read about that reality and understand that reality so they can enter into that reality inshaAllah. Or the articles online. Go to the Muhammadan Way website and type in energy and all the articles on energy and begin to read them and become familiar with that reality inshaAllah.
As-salamu alaykum Sayyidi.
Wa alaykum salam wa rahmatullah.
How does the nafs torture the soul, and does it still do that when we enter tariqah?
How does the what?
How does the nafs torture soul?
By keeping it a hostage. Doesn't let the soul to experience anything. And the nafs comes and inflicts difficulty upon the soul. All the bad characteristics, all the desires, everything that people are doing is inflicting hardship upon the soul. Because the soul is sent from paradise and not doing anything about paradise, not doing anything from a paradise nature. And that becomes like a camel that's not given water. And that's why naqatullah and the camel of Allah was symbolic of the soul. Soul goes a long way in its torture. I mean somebody can never do anything good for it and try to darken it and diminish it. So they're killing and try to kill their own soul with the bad character and bad actions. This is the immense nature of the soul. So that's a torture. But when somebody comes to Islam and comes to realities, the hopes are that they would try to nourish their soul. But sometimes they get more lost in nourishing their body, and that's why we described. The soul is interested in the attack upon the nafs and shaitan. So anytime you feel your nafs was insulted, that you felt insulted, you felt degraded, you felt humiliated, the soul is very happy. It doesn't care for the ego and doesn't care for the shaitan that's partnered with the ego. So when is the soul happy? When the nafs and shaitan are beaten. When is the nafs happy? When you praise the nafs and allow it to do what it wants to do. When is shaitan happy? Again, when the nafs and the shaitans are praised and allowed to do what they want to do. So the spiritual practices are food and energy for the soul. That's why the nafs doesn't allow it and the shaitan comes against it. Nafs won't do it and the shaitan will give a fatwa why it's not real. That's why you see people. So we want to sit and do zikr. The shaitan will come, put a kufi and begin to teach people, no, this is a innovation, this was never done like this, he wants to give a fatwa so that his friend the nafs, don't do it. Don't allow this soul to do zikr. If he should do his zikr and do his tafakkur, he's going to be very powerful, then he's going to attack the nafs and the shaitan's going to be in trouble. He won't have his partner, he won't have his shareek. When we understand this is a system and a crime syndicate. So the shaykhs are like police, they know out of these three the soul is a hostage and it's kept against its will, it's sent from paradise and it's not getting anything from paradise here. And the two criminals is the nafs and the shaitan. The shaitan has a character that never comes forward because it has too much aggression. We described before that the one whom answers your door and is your front man, the one who comes to your face and operates your being is your nafs. Because he tries to be nice and polite and hide all of his bad characteristics. The shaitan if he comes to the front he'll punch someone because it's aggressive, he doesn't know about hiding anything. So people whom they have no filter, when they say that, what does that mean? That their nafs and shaitan became one. They don't even have a fake face, they just come straight out angry, violent and vulgar. These are most dangerous. But the one whom their nafs is trying to be cordial and polite and soft and kind is hiding something because the shaitan is there and hiding in the background. But when the soul and the actions of the soul are strong, they zikr, their actions, they're generous, they're kind, they're soft and they're loving, then their nafs is defeated and down. The nafs is not trying to be something but knows that it's nothing, and as a result the soul has put enough power over the nafs that the shaitan has diminished and is hiding. And that's when Allah describes, you can attack all my creatures except my mukhlis. Shaitan said, I will attack them and take them down, and Allah said, take whoever you want down except my mukhlis. So the mukhlis, they have a yaqeen and certainty in their Islam and in their iman, and as a result of the strength of their iman and the strength of their soul, they have suppressed their nafs and they're continuously suppressing their nafs, and as a result their shaitan is very much diminished and overwhelmed by the energy of their soul. And then these become external guides and lights and moons for this creation, where they reflect the light and the reality of their soul. They teach from their soul, they guide from their soul. Everything is from their soul, not from the nafs and from shaitan, inshaAllah. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifoon wa salaamun al mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bi hurmati Muhammad al-Mustafa bi siri Surat al-Fatiha. Ya Rasul Kareem, Ameen. InshaAllah bi niyat khatm khawjgan.